Witness some history around here and continue to do so on the river, that's for sure. And more on that all in the newsroom here with Donna Groves.
And this word just in out of Cape Girardeau, Missouri, dealing with the flood. The judge there has ruled that the Army Corps of Engineers can move ahead with the plan to intentionally break the Mississippi River levee. Now, officials in Illinois and Missouri had been waiting on that ruling from the judge on whether the Corps would be allowed to blast open a Mississippi River levee. Missouri was trying to stop the plan, but Illinois officials wanted the breach to protect the upstream town of Cairo. And lawyers for Kentucky were wanting the Corps to detonate the flood wall to prevent catastrophic flooding in the city of Hickman. Kentucky Attorney General Jack Conway said Thursday that he had intervened in the federal lawsuit, asking the federal judge to allow the Corps to breach the levee. Kentucky Governor Steve Beshear was in Paducah Thursday, receiving a first-hand accounting of the current potential for flooding in West Kentucky. Candy Freeland reports.
Governor Beshear said the state is committed to assisting Western Kentuckians during this time.
Every agency of state government is fully engaged in assisting people in this Commonwealth in every way that we can. And the message that I would like to leave with you here in Paducah and in Western Kentucky is that we're here with you for the duration.
Governor Beshear on Thursday requested a disaster declaration from President Obama. Paducah City Engineer Rick Murphy, meantime, said the city is prepared as well should flooding become an issue around the convention center.
Currently, the convention center is protected up to 55 feet. We were planning to go taller than that with the current crest of 53 feet on Tuesday. We decided not to go to the full height, but we're prepared if we need to go higher.
McCracken County Sheriff John Hayden said that members of the National Guard will be brought in to protect property around and inside homes that have been evacuated.
As part of our continued efforts to help keep you fully informed about current levels of the Ohio River, WestKentuckyStar.com has installed a webcam near Paducah's riverfront. That image updates once every 30 seconds and gives a view from the roof of Shandy's restaurant at 202 Broadway. A Massac County man was arrested by Metropolis police Wednesday night after he allegedly drove a van past traffic cones into high water. Bill Hughes reports.
Police Chief Mike Worthen says 27-year-old Matthew Robertson of Metropolis was arrested and charged with endangering the life of a child and disobeying a traffic control device.
That's what all the flood warnings and flash flood warnings are still around for. And so many roads with water over them. You don't have time to list them all, Donna.
No.
Do what you can.
Well, there's a lot of them. You can go to WestKentuckyStar.com for a complete list. The U.S. Supreme Court, meanwhile, has refused to halt a plan by the Army Corps of Engineers to blast open a levee to relieve the rain-swollen Mississippi River. Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito did not comment last night in denying Missouri's request to block the Corps' plan. The crest is still predicted to be at 54 feet on Wednesday at Paducah. We get more from Bill Hughes.
City Engineer Public Works Director Rick Murphy says that 37 of the city's 47 gates have been installed. With those 37 gates, the city is currently protected to a river stage of 54.7 feet. Installing all of the gates protects the city to a river stage of 64 feet. Additional floodgates may need to be installed today. Murphy also wants businesses and residents near Perkins Creek on the west side of Paducah to be aware of the potential for flash flooding. The end of the city's flood wall system is at 32nd Street. Low-lying areas west of 32nd Street near Perkins Creek are unprotected. Residents and businesses need to be prepared with a flood evacuation plan.
A Paducah woman was rescued from floodwaters after she disregarded flood warning signs last night. Around 6:45 Sunday night, witnesses said they watched 52-year-old Karen Watkins of Paducah disregard the road closed signs and drive into the floodwater located on Benton Road near the intersection of Fantasy Lane. They watched then as her vehicle started to float and eventually capsized. Well, the Army Corps of Engineers has now completed its third and final explosion at the Birds Point Levee in southeast Missouri. Actually, this one was in Hickman, Kentucky. The Corps intentionally breached the levee along the Mississippi River Monday night, the first charge, to relieve pressure on the flood wall at Cairo and elsewhere nearby on the Mississippi and Ohio rivers. That initial blast allowed water into 130,000 acres of Missouri farmland. About 100 homes were evacuated. 2 subsequent explosions were necessary on the southern part of the levee to allow the water to flow back out. The final blast occurred Thursday. It had originally been planned for Tuesday, but was delayed while additional explosives were brought in. Paducah City Engineer Rick Murphy says we're maintaining all of our lines of defense against the Ohio River. Murphy says the city of Paducah's flood protection structure, including the wall and gates, is performing as expected without any problems. And the temporary pumps in various locations remain in place as needed. The forecast from the National Weather Service indicates the Ohio River at Paducah will crest this weekend at 55.5 feet. The Ohio will remain at or above 55 feet through early next week. The output from Kentucky and Barkley dams will continue to be high over the next few days, which will prevent the Ohio River from dropping significantly. Now, when events such as a major flood occur, many people begin to think about making a monetary donation to an organization that can assist a large number of people, but they want to know exactly where their money is going. Candy Freeland reports.
Diane Davis is Major Gifts Officer for the American Red Cross. She's based in Louisville. But during a visit to Paducah this week, she said money from Kentucky donors goes where it's needed in the state, and right now, that's West Kentucky.
Their money, it will go to Paducah because all of our resources right now are being spent now in Paducah. All our financial resources, our human resources. That leaves a big gap in disaster relief throughout the state. In essence, their money is going to be helped to fill that hole, fill that gap, because we are using whatever funds that we have in Paducah. Paducah meaning Western Kentucky.
Davis explains how people can be sure their money is spent for this flood disaster if that's what they want to do.
The subject line, disaster relief, basically covers it. They can send checks directly to the Paducah office or to the Louisville office where the regional headquarters are. Regardless, it will be used for disaster relief wherever it's needed.
The Red Cross office in Paducah is located at 232 North 8th Street. That zip code is 42001.
Well, Governor Pat Quinn will tour Metropolis and give an update on flood response in southern Illinois today. He'll be at 3rd and Ferry Streets at 3 this afternoon and will speak to reporters a short time later at the intersection of 3rd and Catherine Streets. The city of Paducah's flood wall continues to work as designed without problems. Bill Hughes has details.
Even though the Ohio River is falling, there remains nearly 5 feet of water up against the city's floodgates. Mayor Bill Paxton says he's extremely grateful to the Corps of Engineers for the great job they're doing helping Paducah with the flood wall and the levees. They provided the city with continued support through this whole ordeal. In response to questions about when the floodgates will be removed, City Engineer and Public Works Director Rick Murphy said the river and lake levels will dictate when the gates come down. City officials will decide when and which gates come down first, but he asked for patience from residents and businesses. Since installing the gates is labor-intensive, the city does not want to take them down prematurely.
The Kentucky Transportation Cabinets reopened an extended section of Kentucky 121 at the Ballard County line. Waters dropped off the highway in the area, allowing it to reopen. Now, crews have carefully inspected the roadway to assure that the pavement and road base are in sufficient condition to allow 121 to reopen to through traffic between US 62 in Carlisle County and Kentucky 286 in Ballard County. Help for animals in crisis has arrived in southern Illinois. Those who've had to leave their dogs and cats behind due to floods now have a place to call for help. At the request of Project Hope, no-kill animal shelter in Metropolis, Noah's Wish, a unique animal welfare organization dedicated exclusively to rescuing and sheltering animals in disaster, arrived this weekend in Metropolis. They've organized and set up a rescue operation at the Massac County Youth Fairgrounds on Cordy Road. Roger Smith, Noah's Wish board chairman and regional coordinator, says it's all about the animals.
Offers a temporary safe haven for pets and essentially animals of any domesticated animal of any variety, and provide the owners a little stopgap measure to get themselves settled and get their feet back on the ground, and when things get calmed down, ultimately they can be reunited with their pet.
You can call 618-645-2501 if you want to know about trying to find an animal who's been left behind in a flooded home or area, about rescuing such an animal, or about housing an animal while you're still displaced by the flood, or about volunteering at the disaster animal shelter.